said that, I'm a big fan of flip charts. So we're going to be zooming across onto the flip chart tonight so we can make some of the concepts really simple and visible. And then also we're going to spend a little bit of time possibly doing some screen shares from the laptop that we've set up over here. This call is being recorded. I want to say this again. This call is being recorded, which means it'll be sent out into our entire global community so that we can all be in step together. Now, I've asked Brendan, who's running all our tech support in the background, to now disable chats. In other words, in the next minute or so, the only people who can see your chats are me and Brendan. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Don't type anything for the next 27 minutes. I want to ask you to pay full attention to the broad brush strokes we're going to put in, to take notes so that you've got time to really percolate on this information so that you're ready for next week's call, having prepped your mind, because tonight is about mindset, having prepped your mind to be able to embrace and move forward with the strategy that we launched on the 15th of October. We've only got 1 month to get a global community, 1, bought into the strategy, 2, clear on the strategy, and 3, be able to action the strategy. So I'm asking you to pay full attention tonight. Don't make the mistake of being the keyboard warrior who's asking a question. You need to zone in, plug in, and listen in so we can action this from the 15th of October. I hope that's a fair ask. I want to dive into it. This is what I'm wanting to cover tonight with you so that we're all clear on what's happening. I'm just going to throw this board into 4 sections here so that we know that we're covering 4 sections tonight. Can we see this? Is this a dark enough pen? Is this easy enough to see? Yeah, okay, it looks good enough on my screen. I hope it's clear on yours as well. Right, so firstly,
it's all good.
Let's identify the goals. Brendan?
Yeah, it's all good, Bruce. Perfect.
It's good. All right. Great. Let's identify the goals that we as a community are seeking to reach in the next short while. So in other words, our 30-day strategy is setting us up in order to hit these 5 goals. So let's be clear on the 5 goals. Goal 1 is to make sure every person in our community can break even on their original spend. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, in 2018 and 2019, the company did an ICO, 2 ICOs, a 2018 ICO and a 2019 ICO. The most expensive ICO ran in 2019, which means our first goal is to make sure that those who bought into the coin in 2019 break even. That's goal 1. Okay, and our strategy allows us to hit that. Goal 2, just so that we're certain, is that we're able to 2x our portfolios. Goal 3 is that we 4x our portfolios. Goal 4 is that we're in the top 100 coins on CoinMarketCap. And goal 5 is that we're in the top 10 coins of CoinMarketCap. Those are the goals that this strategy allows us to aim at and hit and meet if we choose to embrace this as a community. So I hope we're clear on the goals. I hope you understand what it is that this strategy is capable of doing. The second thing I want us to be clear on are dates. Okay, let's make sure we put some critical dates into our diaries that we're all working towards. Today is the 15th, it's in our diaries. This is being shared as a recording out into our teams over the next 24 hours. The next date that I want us to diarize is the 22nd of September, because we're going to do another call where we take the broad brushstrokes of strategy spoken of tonight and we start honing in on certain details. Again, equipping the community to move in force together in order to set the price, and then grow the price. Okay, so 22nd of September, 29th of September, we'll have another call. The 6th of October, we'll have our next call. And our last call as a community will be on the 12th of October in last minute preparation and making sure that the launch pad is operational and we are all set to take that first step together, to set that price together. So those are some dates. Please would you diarize those right now. All these dates, all links to calls, all recordings are going to be posted in one place. In other words, we're going to have a central place where our community can all go to in order to grab this information. That central place is a Telegram channel run by our community, promoted by our community, and implemented by our community. So Brendan, could you grab the link to the Telegram channel that will be posting all recordings, all information, all dates going forward? Now, for those of you who are watching this as a replay, you're probably not going to see the link in the chat function. I'm going to ask that you look below the video that's being shared with you. So one of your leaders or sponsors is sharing this on Facebook or on YouTube with you. Go look in the comment section of wherever this is being shared. You should see a link to our Telegram channel, our central platform for our whole community to gather on in order to be unified. And unity is very important. Unity is very important. If this message gets changed by 1 degree, over 30 days, it could sound like a completely different message. We could end up with a completely different strategy if we're not unified in one place, all drinking from the same well, okay, all having the same strategy, all being united in those first steps together. So those are the dates that I want us to diarize so we're super, super clear. And again, get into the channel, get into the official channel so that you can help walk in time with this team, this community. Okay, the next two things I want to cover are mindset, and we are going to be flipping across onto a very short PowerPoint presentation in order so that we set the right mindset. And then I'm going to finish off with our strategy, which, to be brutally honest, is going to sound super simple. It might even sound too simple, and it might leave you feeling, is that it? Is that all we need to do? And here's what I want you to understand, that if a community is unified and a plan is simple, it's got a much higher success rate. So we've gone for the simplest strategy possible so that our entire community can take those steps together in order to achieve the goals that we've set out. So that's where we're going to go today. I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can work on a little bit of the mindset stuff so we're clear on what we need to do, what we need to think in order to make this work. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Give me a second here while I flip onto the laptop over here and make sure that I pull up the right information. This could go one of either ways. It's either going to work exceptionally well or I'm going to get it horribly wrong. The nice thing is Brendan will tell me in about 10 seconds if I've managed to get this wrong. So let me take a look. Right, we're almost there. Hold on a second. Waiting for the internet to catch up. Let's move that out the way. And we're almost ready to go. Right, so we should be on a PowerPoint presentation. And this essentially is getting the right mindset and to understand our price maker strategy. The first thing we need to understand is economics. The most basic definition of economics is this: the branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and listen to this, transfer of wealth. We're about to create economics around a very specific coin. Listen to the second definition: the condition of a region or group as regards to material prosperity. We're going to create a culture, we're going to create a strategy that enables us to create the economics surrounding this coin of ours, this KBC. Now, very, very simple example of how economics work around communities. Very, very simple. Let's think about Coca-Cola for a moment. Coca-Cola in restaurants, a 330 ml can. The cheapest in the world can be bought in Pakistan for 28 US cents. The most expensive is Switzerland at $4.28 US cents. The average price in a restaurant is just over $2. You see, the community gets to choose the price. They get to choose the economy that surrounds this coin. It doesn't matter how that surrounds this Coca-Cola. It doesn't matter how the Coke is made. It doesn't matter the tin that you use. It doesn't matter the ingredients, the factory, the shipping. At the end of the day, the community actually chooses the price. They control the economics surrounding this product that is global. We are in a position to decide the economics around KBC going forward. And it's not the first time it's happened in history. We can go back and track events as old as the Isle of Yap, where they decided that a massive rock represented currency. There was an economic agreement around a circular rock. If we look at the Ndebele culture here locally in South Africa, cows have a value. They're used in weddings and as payment. If you take a look at a little more recently, the community and country of Venezuela decided that Bitcoin, there was an economic structure around Bitcoin. They embraced the economics of Bitcoin to the point that you can buy Bitcoin at almost 3 times the price than anywhere else. Let's take a look at maybe even closer to home, a cryptocurrency called Yearn. Yearn is the highest valued cryptocurrency globally, sitting at over $30,000, because the community that is vested in that coin have created the economic culture, the price culture that has allowed that coin to sit higher in value than Bitcoin. So let's go over it again. Economics, the condition of a group as regards material prosperity, the branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. When a whole group of people are in unity, in other words, when they're in a state of forming a complete and a harmonious whole, people can get more things done. The definition of community is the condition of sharing or having certain attitudes and interests in common. A really good example of this is the Leicester City Football Club in 2016. Basically a group of ordinary professionals. I think their highest bought payer was a midfielder who was bought for £500,000 in a season where the average price being paid was £4 million a player. And this community, who had a shared attitude, a shared common interest, went and lifted the trophy at 5,000 to 1 odds. We're part of a community that if we have a state of shared interest, if we have a state of common interest, we can achieve so much more. We're about to break some of the norms and some of the rules surrounding cryptocurrency. I need you to understand that we're about to break the status quo. We're going to set a trend that the rest of the cryptocurrency community are going to look at and go, how did that community do that? And again, this isn't the first time a community or a group of people or a person has broken the status quo. I want to take you back to a 61-year-old potato farmer called Cliffy Young. He decided to run an ultra marathon of 875 kilometers, that's 544 miles, between the cities of Sydney and Melbourne. And he was up against professional ultra marathon runners. But none of those professionals had told him what the status quo was. The normal at that stage was to run for 10 hours and sleep for 6. Cliffy Young at 61 didn't know that, so he just ran until he was tired. He overtook the pack. He finished the race 2 days faster than previous records. In fact, the next 6 runners also broke the record because Cliffy Young had broken the norm. He had set a new culture. We can go back to Cummings for all the US partners and affiliates on this call. Cummings broke the rules in baseball. He created a ball that nobody could hit, and for a time it was outlawed. Now it's part of the toolbox of every pitcher globally. You see, we're about to do something that's going to seem like it's different to what the rest of the community is doing, because the rest of the crypto community are not in a state of harmony. There's a whole section of people who are trying to sell, and there's a whole section of people who are trying to buy, and they're in conflict with one another. In other words, there's a constant push and pull on the pricing in cryptocurrency market. What we've got that is completely different is a community right now who's sitting on a coin that is about to go to market on the 15th of October, and we will be the only ones with the coins. There won't be a push and pull yet. That's super, super exciting because we get to fill the order book. This is what an order book looks like on crypto exchanges. It's a whole group of people selling, and a whole group of people buying. That's how an ordered book looks. And if you look closely at that, you will see that there are lots of different sell values. People are selling their coins at different values there. And there are lots of people buying at different values. But what if I told you that we're sitting on day 0 where there isn't a buy order yet? There isn't a sell order yet. Remember that KBC has been bought into Carrot-Bit, is going through a reduction plan, and then is launching onto one exchange to begin with a brand new identity and no price yet. That exchange won't have a buy or sell order yet. It's a blank page. It's ground zero, which means if we all decide on a price and choose to sell a tiny portion of our percentage in order to fill the sell book, well, we've just set the price. We've got a unique opportunity that no other crypto community has had yet. You see, we've gone through an ICO, we've gone through another ICO. Part of the ICO was something called airdropping, where free coins were given to the people who marketed this coin. And then regulation kicked in and said, hey, that coin that you've got to make a decision. It's either a security backed by gold or it's a utility, but it can no longer be both. And we were given a unique opportunity to reset the playing field. So many people felt like this changing of the rules hurt us. But I hope you're starting to see that if we as a community embrace this, this is going to be the biggest opportunity a crypto community has ever gone through. So I want to talk a little bit around what we can choose to do as a community. Now on the 15th of October, and let's manage some expectations here. If this exchange, for whatever reason, launches a couple days later or a week later, that's not going to change our strategy. Okay, the strategy stays the same even if the date moves forward or backwards. We've all waited patiently enough that if we've got the right strategy, when this goes, we're going to go with it. So here's the strategy. It's super simple. We're going to set the price. That's the strategy. There's going to be a book called a sell book on the exchange, and there's going to be a book called a buy book. Now here is what is super remarkable about this particular time in history, is that previously KBC was designed to be the security and the utility. Now we've got a coin that's going to be the utility, and we've got a separate coin that's going to be the security. So I want to show you how this works in relationship to each other. V999 is the security token. Buyers who want to genesis that can only access this in 2 different ways. They can either access it through life cards, okay, which is physical gold bullion, or they can access it through, I'm going to write KBC here, but can we all agree that on the 15th of October, KBC gets a new name? Okay, we all understand that. Can we just call it gas coin for now? G. Okay, we're going to call it G, like gas. Okay, so let's just call it G, but we know that it's the KBC. Now, these are the only 2 ways that people can get V999 if they wish to genesis it. So the person who wants to buy V999 is going to arrive with maybe 5,000 euros. They want to buy 5,000 euros worth of V999. They're looking to spend 5,000 euros, and the only way that they can spend it into V999 is either through life cards or through the new coin on the 15th of October. And I want you to know that if they go through this new coin here, they get it at a reduced rate. In other words, they get it at a cheaper price than if they went through life cards. So it's in our interest to make sure that we can help the community do that. This person doesn't care what the price of this coin is. They're here to spend 5,000 euros to get 5,000 euros worth of value. This is called a throughput coin, because you've got to go through the coin in order to put the value into gold. A little bit like when you go to a massive sports game, you can't arrive at the stadium with your cash and just walk into the stadium. You've got to buy a ticket. The ticket allows you throughput into the stadium. The ticket's just a piece of paper, but it's worth whatever you spent in order to get access to the stadium. It's the same here, the 5,000 euros. It doesn't matter what the value of KBC, gas coin, KBC is, as long as they're getting $5,000 worth of value. So if the price of this coin is $1,000 a coin, doesn't matter, they're just buying 5 coins. If the coin is $1 a coin, then they're buying 5,000 coins. If the coin is 50 cents a coin, then they're buying 10,000 coins. They're still getting 5,000 euros worth of B999. Do we all understand that it's a throughput? The buyer doesn't care what the price of that coin is. Which means on the 15th of October, we can set the price. We can all choose the same price and go and fill the sell book so that when the buyer arrives, their buy order fills that sell order and they end up with their B999. That's the first thing that we've all got to do together, is take a very small portion of what we own, very small portion, and set the price. We're going to take a very small portion of the KBC we own and we're going to set X2 over here, and we're going to take another small portion and set X4. In other words, on the 15th of October, every person is going to take the tiniest portion of their entire portfolio and go and set 3 sell prices, each double the price of what it was before, and then allow those orders to be filled so that the price then jumps up another notch. We're going to set an economic culture of doubling. Take a look at what this starts to do given time, and I'm going to share an example here. So I'm going to share my screen with you. This is a hypothetical example. Okay, so again, bear with me on the hypotheticals here. I don't want someone walking away and saying, that's exactly what the price is going to be. Okay, that would be an irresponsible assumption off the back of this. So please don't do that. But let's pretend for a moment that as a community, we all decided that the value of the new coin, the new KBC, why isn't this clicking over? The new coin, the new KBC was $1. Let's for a moment decide that X is $1. And let's look at 3 people who each have 100 coins. Why have I chosen 100? Because that's what the percentage is. I just want to show you what will happen if there are those people in our community who choose to use the smallest portion of their portfolio to help drive the price up versus those people who just try and dump to break even or dump in the first 3 sells to make a bit of profit and move on. Take a look at these numbers. So if person 1 in red dumps all their coins, they break even. They walk away with 100 coins, $100 worth. If, however, they choose to take a different route and dump their entire portfolio over 3 different prices, they walk away with 2 times the person who dumped at the first price. In other words, if you dumped a third of your portfolio at $1, a third of your portfolio at $2, and the last third at $4, you'll only 2x person 1. I want to show you what happens if you have wealth IQ. If you understand that if we keep growing this coin using small amounts of our portfolio, what can happen over time? You see, if we take the time to sell cycle, in other words, go through the process of setting a sell price twice as high, I want you to take a look at the third person there. They've sold off, in inverted commas, 10% of their portfolio, and yet they're sitting at 10x the value of the person who sold all of theirs on the first price, and they're sitting at 5 times the value of the person who sold all of theirs over 3 prices. our community has a unique advantage in that we can grow the price by adapting one singular strategy, the double sell cycle. Now, I do want to go and manage some expectations here. We are going to come across FUD, and we are going to come across ignorant people. So let's quickly name what these two things are. FUD is when someone decides to put fear and uncertainty and doubt into a community. And understand, people are going to do that. There are people who've walked away from this project, loudly proclaim that it's a failure, and when they get wind of this, or when they start seeing the price climbing, because we as a community are causing the price to climb, they're going to come out guns blazing in order to justify their decision. They're going to shoot their YouTube clips. They're going to proclaim themselves as crypto experts. They're going to tell us why it's not going to work, not knowing that we know it can work, because they need to justify their decisions. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. We're definitely going to be met with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, as all those who failed in this project are going to justify their failure by creating as much noise as possible. The second thing we're going to face is ignorance. In other words, if people aren't plugged into the channel where we're going to educate, if people aren't plugged into the strategy where we get to take steps together, if people are ignorant of that, they're going to believe the FUD, or they're not going to adopt the strategy and they're going to sell at losses or at lower prices. I love the French word for ignorance. Okay, go look at the base word for it. It's actually moron. Okay, it's a strong word, but here's why I want us to embrace that word. Because it's easy for people to say, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I just didn't know. That's an excuse. That's excusing ignorance. We get to say, no, you chose to be a moron. You chose not to plug in. You chose to make a loss. You chose to not grow with the community. You don't get to hide behind ignorance on this one. I want you to know that those are the two types of people, the two resistance lines that we're going to meet. Because not everyone is going to go and set their prices. We might find some people who try and set some prices randomly in between what we agree as a community. And that's okay, because next week I'm going to show you how we snap up those orders. We're going to have people proclaiming that this community is insane, that no one's ever done this before. How could it possibly work? That's okay, because we're going to be plugged into a unified channel where we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to teach on what the pushback's going to be and how we can take advantage of that without, listen to this, without having to go back into our pockets. Next week, we're going to teach on something called the double sell cycle, where you can take a tiny portion of your portfolio and you can move it in and out of V999 whilst growing the value of KBC. You're going to increase the amount of gold that you own. Remember when we all plugged into this originally in 2018 and 2019? It was, we wanted to plug into a project where we had all the upside of a utility and all the safety of gold. Next week, I'm going to show you how our double sell cycle allows us to achieve those two needs, those two desires that we originally bought into. So I want to wrap this up, and I want to wrap it up with this one quote by E.B. Blake. E.B. Blake says, "For evil to triumph, good men need do nothing." In other words, for the price of KBC to go nowhere, in order for the project to fail after the 15th of October, all you and I need to do is nothing. For this project to fail after the 15th, you and I just choose to do nothing. But you and I didn't buy into that. We have a unique opportunity. We're going to create videos to show every person, whether you're a mom and pop, a grandmother or grandfather, a layman, a professional, we're going to show you how simple it is to action the strategy. So we're going to give you click here, click here, click here. So on the 15th of October, we can do that together. We're also going to share the formula that's going to help us get the value of X so that every person can break even on day one. All we're asking you to do, whether you're watching this live or as a replay, is plug into that channel and come onto these 30-minute calls once a week for the next 4 weeks. Buy into this. We're a group of ordinary people who are about to go do the extraordinary just by adopting a double X strategy. That's all we're going to do. We're going to keep creating sell bands that are higher and higher and higher in order to drive up the price of our coin, our project, our future, our legacy. So I want to thank you for your time. Again, here is my call to action. Watch this recording a few times, plug into the channel, and join me next week as I start taking us into the nuts and bolts, the actual how-tos on how to action this plan. We've only got 4 weeks to pull our entire community into unity. But once we're in it together, once we've got a common goal and a common strategy, we're unstoppable. We become the biggest whale in the crypto community for our coin, which means we can drive the price. So I want to thank you for your time. I hope this has brought value to you. Please share this recording, share this video, share the Telegram channel link. Let's pull our community together so we can go and win together. Thank you for your time. Have a fantastic, fantastic evening, morning, day. Thank you, team.